Welcome to the Black Script Storytellers. My name is Kevin Marable, and today our guest is a powerhouse in fashion, film, and education. She's a costume designer, creative director, producer, professor, and founder of her own business, Maggy Francois, LLC. Her work spans from collaborations with BET, several production companies, the CW, fashion icons like Christian Siriano, Kortu Momolu. From the runway to the set, from the classroom to national campaigns, she's known for crafting stories through style, vision, and purpose. We have with us today none other than Maggy Francois. Maggy, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all the amazing good work that you're doing.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It's so good to have you on. And I appreciate you extending your time and some of your expertise and being able to tell us a little bit about your journey and your career. I feel like it's important for us to know within this field what it takes to be in this field that you're in and to shine a little bit of light on the fashion world and what it is to be a costume designer slash casting director and
Especially behind the scenes.
I was going to say, and everything else that you do, because I know you do a whole lot. So we're
Thank
we're
you.
going to definitely get into it. But before we do that, I always start off of every interview with a very simple question, but some might find it a little difficult to answer. Are you ready?
Okay. Hmm. I'm scared.
That question is, who is Maggy Francois?
Oh gosh. Who is Maggie Francois? I would say, a survivor. A
Mm,
survivor in so many ways. I mean, in my industry, in life, in relationships and friendships, in business, because it's been such a journey through everything I've been through, and I'm just proud of myself that I'm still standing and able to provide opportunities for so many people. I
mhm.
mean, we all we wouldn't be who we are as people if we didn't go through anything. So everything I've been through, I think, are learning experiences to get to where I am supposed to go, because every year is a new chapter. Every year I'm going to meet somebody I want to work with. Every year we're going to meet somebody we can't work with
Right.
because we're not on the same wavelength. So I never fault people if I can't work with you or I can work with you or whatever, or just life in general is lessons that I've
Mm,
learned throughout my journey. And I'm so grateful for them, because that's what makes a person who they are. And you have to be able to, in my industry, entertainment, I call it, because I'm in the entertainment industry,
mhm.
entertainment education.
Right.
And you have to be able to work with so many different personalities, and you have to have strength to do that. So
Yeah.
it's not easy. I don't know who thinks it's easy, but good for you. But I've been able to be successful at what I do, because I always pray and ask for the right people in my circle, the right people to maneuver life with me.
Right.
Because we're going to get them. We're going to get people who, come in and want to learn about the industry, but don't know the grit and grace that we got to go through. It all looks fabulous, but it's a lot of work
Yeah,
to
I,
get
I I could
here.
definitely see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that, and I'm pretty sure behind the scenes there's a lot that goes into what we see as the final product or the finished product. There's a
Yes.
lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of agreeing on certain things and then having to change them last minute. You know,
Yes, it's a lot. So like I said, I think I'm a survivor in life
right?
and in my industry and in my work, like I said, in life and in general.
Yeah, yeah. Amen, amen. Um,
But that
Now,
was a hard question.
yeah, for some people it is a hard question, and then for others, they have a succinct, straight to the point answer, and they wrap it up so neatly. But we're complex people. We do a lot. We have a lot going on in our lives, and
Yes, and we're
I,
always growing. So every year is a new chapter. I'm like, oh goodness, you know what I
yes,
mean? So I have to, and I'm always learning and growing.
right, yeah, you definitely got to elevate. You definitely have to transform and
Yes,
and constantly becoming. You know, um, so I always find that question interesting to ask people because everybody has a different answer, and
that's
it's
right.
always it's always good to know how people feel about themselves,
Right.
Yeah. Now you are a costume designer. One of the roles that you take on is costume design. Can you go into detail as to what that role entails?
Oh, wow.
Just in general,
Being
in
a
general.
costume designer, I learned about the costume industry in college through one of the most historic designers to me in the world. He gave me so much advice. It was actually the first black designer I ever met, and that
Mhm,
was Moshood out of Brooklyn, New York. I went to school in college, and he was one of our featured designers at a predominantly white college I went to. And he
mhm.
was we they used to bring designers there every year when we had our shows, and that was the first designer I ever met.
Wow.
And watching him gave me inspiration. I wasn't even a fashion major. I was just working the show because I wanted to know more about the fashion industry. I didn't know much about the fashion industry, and people think just because I'm from New York, I grew up knowing fashion. I didn't,
Mhm.
because I grew up in a strict Caribbean household. My major was I was my journey, my major, I wanted to be a nurse, and
Okay.
that's what I wanted to do. Well, I quickly learned more about fashion in college while I was there, because it was a fashion marketing major. And like I said, I'm major there.
Mhm,
And I started seeing that, and it started piquing my interest. And so, like I said, Moshood, watched him, built a relationship with him, started following him, going to his shop when I would go home, like just learned so much from him. And then
mhm.
from then there, I changed my major and went to a HBCU to learn about the fashion industry.
Oh, wow.
So I learned so much about the fashion industry while at an HBCU. It's a long story how I even, we don't
I'm
have time.
sure.
I can tell you that right now. It's like a whole story about how I got in my field.
Okay.
And I still was learning what I wanted to do. Visual merchandiser, I did that. I did merchandising, I did event planning, so many things behind the scenes of the fashion industry.
Right.
And just one day I just started working more behind the scenes of campaigns and films and runway shows, and
Mhm,
learning more about the industry, and working closely with a lot of designers doing for them, learning about when I first moved to Maryland,
mhm,
I was approached to teach fashion design. That's when I really honed in on the different areas that I didn't kind of learn in college about costume design, but I started teaching myself about it so I can educate others about it. So I started going to
mhm.
Pearson Costume Design in New York, which does all the costume designs for Broadway. I started incorporating costume design lesson plans. I just started really researching that whole industry and working in it as well, just doing little things. And
Mhm.
then finally, I got my first project, which was a campaign to do a commercial, and started working in that. And it just really taught me that it's the way that you got to read the script to understand and break down what the director sees. So I
Mhm.
had to get in the vision, the mindset of a filmmaker. It's
Right.
different than fashion. So it's a complex world
Yeah. You have to
because
be able to see their vision as well.
yes, you got to be
Bring
able
that
to
to
see
life.
their vision and
Mhm.
then execute their vision
Right.
into that screen. So
Right.
I had to learn that whole thing and learn how to break down scripts and read every single detail, which sometimes we have to read the script about 10 times to
Mhm.
understand what do they want, because I always have my vision, but
Right.
sometimes it's not even my vision. I have to go with their vision.
Right.
And then also working with other designers to give them opportunities. I know construction. I've learned construction. I know how to sew. I could put a outfit together, all that, but that's
Wow.
not my passion. You
Okay.
know what I mean? So I love giving opportunities to designers and saying, hey, let's sketch this together. Let's create this, break down the patterns. That's me.
Yeah.
If I had to do it, and so trust me, there are times on set where I have to bring out the sewing machine and I have to sew it. But
Yeah.
I love working with designers and saying, let's collaborate together so I can give you this opportunity, because I'm head of wardrobe, but I want to be head of helping you get your foot in the door to the industry, because so many designers don't know that we look for you. We want to give you the opportunity to be a costume designer, because the construction and the details is so intricate
Mm.
to make it happen. So, like I said, I learned so much from so many different people. It's a long, long story. Like one
Yeah.
day I actually want to make a movie about it.
Right.
But
Make a
so many
movie,
people that
write a
helped.
book.
Yes, it's so many people that helped me along the way to where I am today. I can't even say I did it alone,
Right.
and I'm
Yeah.
still learning. You know what I mean? And that's why I love teaching, because I always believe that the youth, they
Hmm.
have that vision. They have that whole. They have it down to a science, just like I did when I was younger. They come in, and we got to keep that industry going, because our industry is sometimes not in the forefront.
Hmm. Right.
Now I think it is, because people are starting to recognize costume designers. I
Yes.
mean, we're getting awards now and being
Yes.
seen for what we do. They've been in the industry for years.
Right.
They've
Yeah.
been doing
Look
it
what they're
forever.
doing.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's $1 trillion business, and I always tell people you cannot do a commercial, a music video, a film without clothes.
True.
Where's going? So
Right.
why not make us essential on your film sets? Because we are the people that create that beauty, that vision. I'm always looking at films and looking at wardrobe and seeing the work that other designers do, costume designers, and
Hmm.
it inspires me to keep going. You know what I mean? Like Paul Taswell and
Yes.
Ruth Carter, who's one of my mentors, and
Yes.
so many people that are doing such great things.
Yeah.
And those people have inspired me as well. So, like I said, it's a list of people that have inspired me. It's a list of people I'm learning from. It's a list of people that have given me opportunities to do what I do,
Hmm.
for me to bring it back to the classroom and uplift others in our industry.
Yeah, definitely take it back to the classroom and not only educate, but you're also opening the doors for others, providing opportunity, passing down your knowledge and information, and in some cases, potentially relationships. If you open the door for one, that forms a relationship, with who you're working with as well. Um, and I feel like that is really important. And to your point, the fashion and costume design is definitely integral when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
movies, films, music videos.
Can't do it. You can't do it
Yeah,
without it.
a
You
lot of
know,
times the look can make or break your project.
the
Uh,
look can make or break your project. And
right,
trust me, I've gotten it. And sometimes I've gotten it right. Sometimes I've gotten it wrong. Sometimes I've gotten it superb. you
right,
know, so
yes.
I'm so proud of all my work, because like I said, it's a team. I
Hmm.
have a team that has been by my side from beginning to end. Some have gone, some have come, some are still coming, some
Hmm.
are growing, some that have not been are not with me. I watch them grow, and I love it, because you have to be able to understand that everybody's not going to be around forever. You know what I mean? They want to create their own path. So I'm so proud of giving them a path to see that they can do it.
Hmm.
They can make it happen. It's like somebody did for me.
Hmm.
So I just love the education. My favorite part is the education piece, and watching me pull that what is it, that creative side of the kids that they don't understand, they don't see. I remember one of my students when she first came in, and this was high school, and they always come in and they say to me, what do you, just like you just asked me that first question, I say, it's kind of the similar question. I say, why are you in my classroom? Why are you in fashion?
Right, right. It's
Because
important.
some of them are biology majors, psychology majors, or
Right,
they want to be nurses like me or something,
yeah,
totally different. It's not even always fashion.
right.
And then they'll say to me, oh, I want to make clothes. I want to be a fashion designer. I want to be it's always fashion designer. It's never, I want to be a fashion lawyer. I want to be a fashion editor. I want to be a visual merchandiser. I want to be a costume designer. I
But I
want to
I
be,
think in some of those cases, they don't know those
they
titles.
don't know. And that's why we
Yeah.
teach it.
Right.
So I say, oh, okay. I wait for all of them to go through it. And I said, by the end of this class, it may be one of you or none of you that are going to come out of here being fashion designers,
Wow.
because you got to learn about the industry. And that's where we're going to teach you about what is in this industry, and hone in on what skill you have that is best for you.
Hmm.
So like I said, one of my students came in, and that's what she said, want to be a fashion designer. But she said, I love, the glamorous ball gowns and all that. And I said, well, that's costume design. So she started showing me her sketches, and I was like, wow. I said, you need to go into costume design. So she started really creating. I mean, I'm talking about like regal ball gowns and
Wow.
all these intricate details with lace and tapestry and pin tucking. I'm talking term fashion terms now. And she started doing all that, and now she works on Broadway creating costumes for
Oh,
theater. And
wow.
that's what she does for a living. And I was so proud because she was one of the first people that worked on Rihanna's dress that came out when that yellow bird gown that Rihanna wore to the Met Gala one year, that big
Yes.
yellow one. She
Wow.
worked on that dress with. That was her first big gig. And
That's
from then
crazy.
on,
Yeah.
she's been in the costume design industry. I did a field trip, went up there with my students so they can see her, and she was giving me a tour, and I was like amazed.
Wow. That is
Another student, I want to be in the fashion industry, but I want to, I love graphics, but I want to keep fashion. Now he's designing the album covers because people don't know you could even do that. You're in the fashion industry, but
right.
you're designing album covers
Yeah.
for Atlantic Records, Cardi B covers, all those covers you see that come out for Atlantic Records. That's my student. Certain things like that. But I have so many stories of people that don't know until somebody pulls that skill out of them.
Right. And so, even though you're in the field and you are in a position of, to allow more people to come up underneath of you, not only are you successful, but a lot of your success also comes from the success of others that you help lift up. And that is also an
And I
important
want to
piece.
see them successful.
Right. That's also an important piece that is necessary and that is needed in this field, so that more black and brown designers, and stylists and all of the terms, all of the titles that you mentioned earlier, come from that. I think it's really cool, and I think a lot of students, a lot of kids, are interested in fashion. They just don't know what path to take and how to get there, and what it takes to make it
Right.
into
And
that
it's
business.
also right. And it's also important to educate the parents
Hmm.
because I know when
Hmm.
I came to my parents and said, hey, I want to change my major, they were like, yeah, no.
Right,
They
right.
didn't even know what fashion was. They were like, what is that? Because nobody told them.
Hmm.
So now, of course, it's more, open and people see it. It's like social media has changed the game for the fashion industry.
Right.
Everybody's so concerned about what they're wearing,
Hmm.
which is a good thing and a bad thing. You know what I mean? So you got to educate the parents because even with me teaching high school,
Hmm.
I had kids that used to come to me crying. My parents won't let me major in fashion. What can we do? And I would have to sit there and talk to the parents and make them understand like the industry.
Right.
So that helps as well is educating the parents. Even, college now,
Hmm.
the students that are majoring in fashion, it's hard sometimes for the parents to understand until they come to the classroom, they see what we're doing, they see what I've done, and
Right.
they're like, oh, okay, let's focus on that. Let's see how we can make it happen.
Hmm.
What they want. It's important that we do that as well. One thing I made sure I did when I came to PG County as well, Prince George's County, let me get that correct. Prince George's County. Okay, Prince George's County. One thing I did, I write curriculums. I love writing curriculums for lesson plans, for workshops, after school programs.
Hmm.
I've done all that, especially with the DC Fashion Foundation. That's one of the organizations that you definitely need to follow. DC Fashion Foundation. Christine Brooks Cropper. We went to college together, and she was very into fashion, so we collaborated. We came together when we moved here, and just started hitting the fashion scene and trying to educate people on the fashion industry. We've
Hmm.
been to fashion councils. We've written legislative, been on Capitol Hill together, all type of things, trying to push the fashion industry in the forefront.
Hmm.
And like I said, she has the DC Fashion Foundation, which helps educate and funds different programs. So if I need something for a student, I call the DC Fashion Foundation. Hey, a student needs a camera because why they want to do social media content in the fashion industry. She'll fund that as well, within reason.
Yeah.
And it has to have a meaning behind why you're doing a lot of the things that she offers the students. One of the things I learned as well is writing curriculum. So I wrote a curriculum for PG County, went to the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. That's another thing. Learn about your councils, learn about different local organizations you could join that deal with the fashion industry so you can push
Mm,
what we do so they can understand more of what we do and support us. So I went to Prince George's Art and Humanities Council, which is run by Rhonda Dallas, and pitched to her, let's come together and find a way to support the fashion industry by creating a space. And we
mm,
made a maker space, and it's a maker space where we educate the fashion designers, people that want to get into the fashion industry,
hmm.
and teach them about everything about the fashion industry, from financial literacy, from networking, because a lot of people in the industry don't know how to network and build your brand. They put the clothes online and they're like, oh, they expect $1 million.
Right.
That's not realistic.
Process.
It's a process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to make one piece of garment. Like, it's a whole process to create a brand development, teach them about brand development, networking, marketing, all of it.
Hmm.
She loved the curriculum and gave me the opportunity. And now we have Design Park 3311, which is in Mount Rainier, and we teach them. They have to be interviewed. So every 2 years, now it's 2 years, it used to be 1 year. Every
Hmm.
2 years, we allow them to come in there and have a space and educate them and fund them and just help them build their brand and help them to understand how to run a business.
Wow.
And so we have that. It's a whole filmmaker space for costume designers.
Hmm.
So, things like that we have done. Like I said, there's so many different programs we are part of and so many organizations like Harlem Fashion Road. They support designers too. I'm naming all these people because it's important for people to know that these people exist and you can get help to learn more about where to get funding and where to get information to help you build your business as a costume
Absolutely.
designer.
Yeah.
So Harlem Fashion Road, that's another thing, owned by Brandice Daniel. She's been very supportive of my program. She funds. I'm a professor as well at Bowie State University. We have a
Mm.
whole costume design program where we teach the students to become costume designers. She funds a lot of our programs where we have partnerships with Stuart Weitzman, Kate Spade, Coach.
Wow.
It's a tapestry program where they pour into our students, and she provided that for us, for them to get opportunities to learn about the fashion industry and where you can go. So it's
That's
so many
amazing.
different people that have, like I said, invested in us doing what we do and making the connections, which is important because collaboration over competition.
Yeah.
That's how
Collaboration is
you
key.
are successful in
Yeah.
business.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And oftentimes, in
That's the key.
in some cases, working together doesn't always work. There's a lot of people who like to gatekeep or don't like to collaborate or build bridges or any of that. So I definitely commend you for allowing
And
those
that's okay
spaces.
for them. That's okay. But I
Yeah.
am a person that I can't do it alone. I'm not going to act like I could do it alone. I don't want wrinkles because that's
Right.
stress. So I want to work. I want to collaborate. I like to collaborate with others so we can create a beautiful story together. And
Hmm.
that's what it is when it comes to filmmaking. So I'm always trying to connect with different designers, different fashion people in the costume design industry, you name it, just creatives to come together to just make things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about you have a couple projects that you are the costume designer as well as the casting director for two upcoming films. One, The Classroom Reunion, starring Lil Rel Howery, Sarunas Jackson, and Karen Abalam.
Hmm.
And then also A Kismet Holiday, also starring Karen Abalam, Derek King, and Joyful Drake. Um, can you talk a little bit about on the casting directing side?
Oof. You really want to hear it? It's like I'm only playing. I have a great team. So I can't even remember when I started casting. I started casting. My first casting was a commercial, I think, for Tyson's. I think it was Tyson's Corner. I can't remember.
Okay.
Actually, it wasn't. My first casting project was a runway show
Okay.
in college, but I don't consider that because I didn't get a check. So I consider that experience.
Right.
But I think my first real casting project was Runway,
Okay.
and I was doing it for the Congressional Black Caucus. That's a whole other story.
Mm.
So I worked for Congressional Black Caucus for years, and from that, I met so many people, celebrities that met me and wanted to work with me and would say, "Hey, and then next thing I'm casting them or doing talent work with them for different things." So it led me to, film and doing different projects and commercials. People always ask me, "How do you do casting and costume design at the same time?"
Right.
What did I just say? Collaboration,
Yep.
having a team. So I
Mhm.
have great people that have always been on my team that I've worked with to make it happen. So usually I'll just get, because but prior to that, I'm reading scripts. So if I'm reading the scripts, I'm reading it to cast, but I'm also reading it for costume. So I could do both at one time by knowing what they're wearing and then the character. I envision the character and what they're wearing.
Mhm.
It's I know it's weird, but it makes sense for me.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
can do both at the same time. So while I'm learning more about this character, I'm actually dressing them while I'm reading the script. You get it? So I
Yes.
can say, hey, I like this character. Boom. I want a Morris Chestnut for this scene, and I
Yes.
could put this in Morris Chestnut on Morris Chestnut, something like that.
Right.
So I end up doing both of them at the same time while I'm reading the script. So you always cast before the movie, that way you know your character.
Mhm.
So it gives me a sense of like I already know what the character's gonna wear by the
Mhm.
time I'm finishing the script because I know the character.
Right.
Once I cast the character, it's kind of easier for me to go into the wardrobe part
Mhm.
because I know the character. I kind of know everything about them because I've already casted them. I know their sizes. I kind of know their built, their shape, their what the feel is like for the film. So then once
Mm.
I'm done casting it, I just jump into wardrobe and styling for the movie, if that makes
Wow.
sense. I have a team. Once we finish casting, I'm like, y'all take over now. I'm moving on to wardrobe. If you need me, call me. And they take over and I just focus on wardrobe. And
That's
then
good.
throughout the film, I'm still kind of focusing on casting because if it comes up where we need 70 people on set, okay, we got the wardrobe, then the other team will take over. Boom, I'm going to casting right now. Got to get 70 people for this set, for this scene.
Mm.
You guys got the wardrobe. We already know what they're wearing tomorrow, so we're good, right?
Right.
Boom. Like it's a process that the universe has allowed me to make happen.
Yeah.
And
But
I'm
you've
a
learned how to be efficient at it. So
yes, I've
once
learned
you
how to master it and be a fit.
yes,
Well, I don't want to call myself a master at it. I'm still learning.
that's
I've
okay.
learned how to the word you just said, efficient at it and keep
Yes.
it, even kill and just,
Mhm. You have
at a
your own system and your own process.
exactly a
Once you
structured
get
system.
yeah, once you get it running, then you step to the next, and you get that running, and you
And
step to
I hop back in a little bit. I hop back in a little bit just to make sure it's going right so my clients could be happy. So I've
okay.
done it a lot. Sometimes I don't. If I feel like the movie's going to be a lot, I
Mhm.
say, "Oh, I don't want to do casting. You guys, I can find you somebody that's going to take care of it. If they need me, I'm there because I'm always. I always feel like if I'm part of that project, I want to elevate that project. I want to bring the best. So I'm always going to refer or say, "Hey, this is who I want to recommend because I'm part of it. So why wouldn't I want to give them the best?" You know. So
Right.
there are times where I say, nah, I can't do it. I got to focus on this wardrobe. This is a lot going on here. Or if it's a lot in casting, I'll be like, oh, I can't do that. Y'all, you could take over. I'm good. you know, so I do, do that where I try to stay focused on one thing, or I can do both at the same time if I feel like it's not going to be too much.
I feel like you've given me so much to process, so much to think about. The audience, I'm sure anybody who's into fashion and costume design, even though we didn't really touch too much on casting, but I feel like you've given me a lot to work with here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
is there anything? Is there anything that you would like to add that maybe we did not speak on
I
cast?
just think that as creatives, that we need to be more supportive of each other in the industry. So that's important, and
Mhm.
especially Black filmmakers. you know, so I just believe that that's one thing that we all need to do is be more supportive of each other, work together, and
Mhm.
create together. So that's all what it's all about in this industry. I commend you for what you're doing. I don't know how long. How long have you been doing this? I'm
Only
interviewing
two
you now.
years. Only two
Oh
years.
God, 2 years.
Yes, I
Now, what
actually.
made you? What made you do this? Because I would love for my students to hear more about your story.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm actually an aspiring screenwriter. I started this whole process as a screenwriter that was learning how to become a screenwriter. I initially started in the music arena. I used to be a rapper long, long, long time ago, but I put the mic down. I ended up picking up a camera, so I also do photography. And then I still had the knack and the desire to still want to write and tell stories. And so I was like, you know
Hmm.
what? I'm going to try my hand at storytelling and maybe short films first, and then work my way into feature film and all of that. And so through the process, I was doing a lot of research online, looking for screenplays, in particular screenplays from people of color. And every so often I'd come across them. And as I come across them, I'd save them because they were hard to find. And so one day I went looking to see if there was actually a website that hosted screenplays from people of color, and there wasn't. And so, hence the name The Black Script. I created a
Wow.
website that was only supposed to be a site to host screenplays, but through that process, talk about it online here and there. And a few of my videos kind of went viral on TikTok, and some celebrities liked it. And I started getting a lot of reaction and responses from actors and animators and writers and directors and all types of people, asking, do you offer this and do you do this? And, where can I send my film to, or what can I do X, Y, and Z? And so that kind of got my mind working, like, you know
But
what?
do you see what I mean
Yeah, I can actually
when I
build this
said
out
black?
and provide. Yeah, exactly.
We need to support each other and the creatives because a lot of people don't know who we are because we're behind the scenes.
And that's the whole reason why I do this, because you guys have been in this business for God knows
A
how long,
long time.
and there's no platform on a major scale that's offering any type of interviews, spotlight, exposure. Oftentimes we find out about you when you're already 20 years in, 30 years in, or it's an award and this is
Yes,
the first time that
that's
somebody
it.
has won such award, so on and so forth, just
And I
like
could tell
Paul
you
Pascal.
now,
Yeah.
I could tell you now, so that's a good point.
Hmm.
And when I say that we don't, we need to work together, what you're doing is a great platform for so many creatives behind the scenes. And what I want for me is to get more work behind the scenes.
Yes.
It's not about me being seen. I don't that's not my that's not my thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? The universe is going to make me seen from my work,
Right.
and the people I work with. Like one of the projects I just finished, and this will be the last thing I say, is when I got the call, I've worked with so many legends. Like when I get the call, I'd be like, huh? Especially one of the artists I work with, another producer I work with. He's out in New York with the Alkaline Agency. He's awesome, Mr. Brian. I produce one of the top producers in the world.
Oh,
That's
wow.
another thing you might want to do too is producers, like music video producers.
So I do want to. I didn't mean to cut you off. I do want to get into music, but I want to get into music specifically for TV and film, because I
Well,
know
no,
that.
that's what it is.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
they're film.
Okay. Okay. Good.
So they're filmmaker producers. Well, anyway, so when I got the call to do like Sarah Bareilles music video, I was like,
Wow.
huh?
Yeah.
These are people that are legends. You know what I mean? So the last music video we did when I got the call to do a Bon Jovi project,
That's amazing.
those things to me are like, huh? Those are projects to me that are like so meaningful because you called this little black girl that went to an HBCU
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
your project. I look at it like that and then provide the opportunities. Like that's a teaching tool for me because
Mhm.
students would be like, who's Bon Jovi? Then when we do the whole research and the lesson, they're like, oh my God, professor, this I want to be part of this.
Right.
Those are things that I look at and say, wow. Or even when we bring on the celebrities that we work with on film sets and they're like, well, who is that?
Mhm.
Let's do our research, see what they've done the work, like Jasmine Guy. They never knew.
Wow.
Then go back to research Jasmine Guy. They're like, oh, I was watching her. I
Yes.
know who that is.
Yeah.
I
Right.
watch her all the time.
That's the thing, is that we also need to know our history, and our history oftentimes
Exactly.
gets
It's an
erased because,
opportunity.
yeah, and our history gets erased because there's nobody keeping up with the legacy and keeping up
Yes.
with the history of it all, you know.
So my job is to keep up and get these opportunities, especially with legacy in film and TV, and
Hmm.
bring it back to the classroom. So that's how I
Absolutely.
look at it, if that helps.
Absolutely. Well, Maggie, thank you so much for joining, sharing
Thank you so
your
much.
yeah, thank you for sharing your insight, your knowledge, giving us time, and also, sharing with me a lot of information on the costume design world. Definitely going to be diving deeper into that
Yes.
space.
And let me
And
see them videos before you post them.
okay, okay, I got you. I got you. I promise. Okay, all right, cool.
All right.
Well, Maggie Francois, everybody.
Thank you so much.